I have a friend who once used to talk about the tendency in Scotland, perhaps across the world, to go to the scene of an accident, not the cause of the accident, and described us as a nation of ambulance chasers. And we've got good at going to the scenes of accidents because there's a lot of accidents about. But you can keep doing that, and you will keep doing that until you begin to look at what's actually causing the problems that you keep rushing to try to sort. I'm struck by all of this today, actually, listening, is how many accidents we are having to rush to with their infinite level of detail, with their huge complexity, with their demand that the best you can possibly get is a community that takes over and has to then understand all those languages to be able to progress. Those communities have to become better HR experts than the folk who are paid megabucks to sit in offices and do it. They have to understand tendering. They have to understand carbon offsetting. These are volunteers, and God love them. God loved them. But is that our model? Because this is crazy, actually, in many respects. I think we're missing the big thing. We need land reform. We need it for its own sake. We need it for the land. We need it for the animals. We need it for the birds. We need it for the plants. We need it for the humans, can I say, in this room of animal lovers. Because we are a species too. And, at one of these previous events, I got kind of a wee bit annoyed with somebody who actually said it was easier to deal with landowners like Anders Paulsen because he'd one guy and you don't have to run your way around lots of little community buyouts. See, this kind of big is beautiful approach is a very popular one in Britain. It really has persuaded people that that's the way, economically, at community level, at natural level, at restoration level. And it's wrong on every count, practically every count. So it's a hard job to have to put this out. Community control, yes, and even more than that, is that we actually just need to break up large estates for everyone, not even just for communities, but for private individuals who own. The situation of land ownership in Scotland is so weird that we regard community buyouts, and as you may know, I was very involved with very jolly Isle of Egg buyout for many years, 25 years old, quarter of a century of management, has transformed Egg on practically every front. But actually, here's my 1%, the amount of community land in Scotland at the start of the Scottish Parliament was 0.7% of the land. It is now 2.9%. Do the maths and figure out incrementally how long it'll be before we get somewhere meaningful. It's a long time. And so what we need is we really do need some big old stuff here on the legislative books, and we haven't got it. What's coming in the next Land Reform Act, I'm sorry, but it's another fudge. It's looking at trying to interfere if there's going to be 3,000 hectares or more. You can argue 3,000 hectares, 500 hectares, whatever, that a public interest test will be applied. I'm sorry, do you know something? You get old enough, you've seen it all before. 2016, Andy, I seem to remember, we were going to have a public interest test applied for negligence. Communities, if they were brave enough, could report, could shop, could pipe on their landowners and say that actually that there was such negligence that they couldn't have a sustainable life. Nobody's used it. Nobody. And here we are again. We're going to have another small measure that will may get used, may not get used. The big stuff, we need a land tax. We need things that have been promised already. We need a compulsory sales order. See, that's a boring one, but that's the one that would allow councils to do something about land because they don't want a compulsory purchase order. They don't want to take stuff on their books that they're then going to have to get rid of. They want to compel people to sell. That was promised to us. It's just slipped right off the agenda. Succession Act, we were promised that too. We're practically the only country left now where it's okay for children not to equally inherit land. We were promised that would change. It hasn't changed. So we need a whole set of big, big things. And, the list is longer. Those things are not likely to happen, I'm afraid, unless we kind of get, a bit serious about focusing on land reform for its own right, for the benefits it would produce in Scotland. Now, this is sitting here because this is one microcosm of things. It's Glen Prosen, it's one of the Angus Glens. I know it very well. I've got pals that live up there. It was recently, Upper Glen Prosen was recently bought by Forest Land Scotland for 17 million quid. Now that is our money. Anyway, it was good that it went because it was previously owned by a merchant banker from London who doubled his money by buying it. Same old speculative stuff. I think it was actually happened on a sort of secret deal. So actually it was something that only a big body like FLS could buy. It couldn't have been broken up to local farmers because nobody knew it was being sold. And that's normal. Anyway, that is not just, your average. We've seen these pictures all day. But that's part of why Brechin flooded. And nobody is even mentioning it. Programme after programme, there'll be all sorts of wondering, how things could be improved. Look at that. The runoff, as we've heard before, and Prosen water runs into the river South Esk runs straight through Brechin. And all those Angus Glens are like that at the top. You might not know because you might not have been, because why would you go there? What is there for you to see or be in? Now, my pals are actually trying. The reason we're there, and I practically broke my butt actually trying to follow these guys on mountain bikes, was because people want to put a proposal forward to turn that whole estate, which is basically contiguous with Glendall over the hill in Glenclova, and to turn it into a sort of mountain biking paradise, same as Evanstains, or something that would allow people to go. It would allow businesses, perhaps. It would allow cycling businesses. It would get people back into the Glen. At the moment, although there's community consultation officer, and that suggestion's been made several times, it's very much talk to the hand. So my point is, we need more than just the thing of community ownership. With this, which is now owned in the public domain, we need to be able to say what kind of forests we want. Are we just going to have more blanket but sort of right-on forestry this time? Are we going to have people in forests like every other country at our latitude? There's nobody else that has plantations and keeps the people out. It's only us. So let's not do that again, and let's find a way to get involved. There's one thing I wanted to say. If you look at the example that Andy had produced a long time ago, that incredible statistic that I understand he's updated, the 432 people who own half of Scotland's private land. I mean, there's another really striking statistic we should get, which is 100,000 people in Finland, in the PSLesley Riddoch cooperative, 100,000 people own half of Finland's forests. The idea of these monolithic ownership types, again, I'm just paying tribute to Andy Whiteman because he did all the research on this. But when you buy big for land, you buy big for forestry, you buy big for councils, you just buy big. And you price yourselves out of it the same way that we used to flare gas off oil rigs because we couldn't figure out what it was for. We're flaring us off right now, and it's got to change. And I just wanted to say that point about, Finland, this is a question of emotional and mental ownership. And this is what we need to get back, because it's not just that you probably haven't been up there, because why would you? It's that we don't feel that we have this relationship with our land, a loving relationship. I just wanted to finish by quoting a couple of the national anthems. These are the ones that tell you where people are at. Here's the national anthems for those countries. Finland, ones where, it's all the people that own the forestry. No mount that meets the heavens band, no hidden vale, no wave-washed strand, is loved as is our native north, our own forefathers' earth. That's Finland. Sweden, thou ancient freeborn mountainous north, in beauty and peace our hearts beguiling, I greet thee, thou loveliest land on earth, thy sun, skies, verdant meadows smiling. Denmark, indeed, I know a lovely land, with spreading shady beaches near Baltic's salty strand. Its hills and valleys gently fall, its ancient name is Denmark. Are you getting the gist? And let's just cut to us. God save our gracious King. Or let's take a bit closer to home. O flower of Scotland? When will we see their like again, that fought and died for your wee bit hill and glen? Now, I don't know. It's not good enough to have anthems that simply talk about how we're ruled. It's not actually good enough to have national anthems that talk about us being big enough to get us off our butts and basically take the fight to the enemy back over the border. That's not it either. The mark of a country that has emotional ownership of its assets is one that understands its land is beautiful. And the fact that we haven't got it is testified by these small things like anthems. So I'm thinking something which is, you guys was meant to talk about how to start a land reform movement. You're it. You've done very well. This is coalition, which is a tremendous thing. But you've already managed to get the ban on snares. Excellent. You're moving on the grouse reform. You'll get there. Can I ask you if you're interested in taking on land reform next? Because unless we get to the cause of the accident rather than the scene, we'll repeat this in every aspect of our lives until we're all old, including you 30-somethings. Thank you.